this next video, we're going to look at a technique of practice which I'm going to call rhythmic variation. It's a very complex type of practice that I think can suit many different types of music, and it's one of my favorite ways to practice because there's so many different applications of how I can use it. I can use it to speed up things technically. I can use it to just take more time to think musically, and I'm going to try to show with a few different pieces ways that this can be achieved. The first rhythmic variation that most of us learn as kids, if we do it, is this sort of dotted rhythm where we have the right, and so we have the dotted, and then we have the inverted dotted. So I really hate this kind of dotted rhythm. It's so anti-musical. I can't get any musical sense of what's happening. It is a method many people have successfully used. There's some great videos actually on YouTube of famous Hungarian pianist György Zifra using this dotted rhythm, playing some Chopin waltzes. He even uses it. There's a little section in I think the second video where he uses it to play the slow part of the funeral march in the Chopin sonata. I don't understand why he felt like he needed to practice that in a rhythm, in that particular way of a rhythm. But anyway, this is György Zifra, and he needs not to be reprimanded for how he practiced. Anyway, I think there's some more creative or innovative ways that we can use rhythms to keep us thinking musically while we use them to help technical things. So the first of which is where, and I'm using this Chopin Etude, Opus 10 number 4, to show basically any set of 16th notes. We're going to break into groups of 4. And if you were playing a piece in sets of triplets, you could break it into 3. I'm going to show a couple other examples of breaking things into 6s with some other Schubert songs. But for right now, let's work with 4s. Starting with the first note, if we stop on the first note of each 4, let me just demonstrate quickly. Okay, that's stopping on 1. That's an interesting way to stop. Let me show stopping on the 4th one. So there's a couple of reasons why I love this method, and let me explain a couple of them. The first is that you have control of 2 factors. You have control over how long you want to pause, and you have control over how fast the other notes are. So let's say I just want to play a slow pause and slow notes. That's a slow pause, slow note. You can speed up the inner notes, but still have a longer pause. Why I like this is it allows you to use the rhythm at whatever level you are with whatever piece you're playing. So you might need long pauses with very slow notes. You might be trying to speed up a section where I think you could use the faster notes. allows you to play closer to concert speed without necessarily, maybe you can't play it at that fast, but when you're only thinking about the next 4 notes, it gives you a better sense of control. You should build in far less wrong notes. And I'd love to use this technique to even learn pieces. So just starting slowly, if playing at a slow speed, you can read it, whatever piece that you're playing. Let's say it's a group of 16th notes, and you don't need to speed it up. And ideally, when you stop on the pause, you want to visualize the next set of notes. So I'm thinking, it allows the brain to really process the next set of 4 notes. And in theory, it does this for me. Instead of learning a piece nonstop and slowly speeding it up, and then there's a million wrong notes creeping in all over the place, this allows you the time to really not let those disgusting and pesky wrong notes to creep in, and because you're just focusing on the next 4 notes. So for cleanliness, for learning a piece, you're seeing these groups, you're working with them, stopping on 1. I want to talk about stopping on 4. Before I talk about stopping on 4, if you really have lots of extra time, you can always stop on 2 and 3 also. If you really have a lot of extra time, it's something that you can do. I used to stop on all variations of things in groups of 4, but now I feel like I don't need to stop on each one because it just takes too much time, and I feel like the bulk of the benefit of the exercise if I just stop on 1, and particularly 4. And why 4 is so important is we always want to jump to the downbeats. As we're starting to speed things up, we just naturally push things to the downbeat. And so that 4th 16th note, or the 3rd triplet, or the 6th 6th, whatever, it's always that note that always gets shortchanged. So we have, if you work extra weight and extra time onto that last note in the set of 16, it just builds a certain strength to any passage work. It'll help keep you from rushing. It doesn't let your hand jump into that downbeat, and it's just something that I absolutely love to use with any kind of passage work. I want to move on to showing how you can use the rhythms in maybe a slightly more musical way. In the Chopin Etude, you're basically using them to be clean and speed things up. In a couple of other pieces, 2 of the other Liszt Schubert songs that I'm playing, I'm playing Gretchen at the spinning wheel, and Auf dem Wasser is singing, On the Water I Sing. And these are both songs that are sort of in groups of 6s, but I think that if you use the rhythm, not in a irritating way to build finger dexterity, but you can just stop. I'm going to show stopping on 1, but it really gives you time to think about the next set of notes. It allows you time to really think about your hand motion of how you're going to spin around any of these notes, and it just gives you a good foundation to start with. So if we use that little pause just allows me, even if I know a piece quite well, it allows me to really think about that next 6 notes. Where do I want to shape them? Another key is really pausing long enough that you have time to think about those next notes. If the pause is too short, you're still sort of playing on autopilot and you're not really thinking musically about what you want to do. Let me demonstrate stopping on 6, because that's another one that you can do. And in this piece, there's a few places I'll show you later on in the piece. Being able to stop on 6 helps us from certain things running away. So let me play a little bit of stops on 6. That being able to stop on 1 and stop on 6, it just grounds you in a way that you have time to think about exactly what you want to do. And it also allows certain hand motion. That stop allows us to really get the hand and the motion and the swing for all of these, it allows us to build in, and I love students to use this method because I can really get them to stop and over exaggerate the looseness of the. Over exaggerate this motion and just get students or yourself to be as loose as possible, finding the right shapes that support what the fingers are going to do. Even back to the Chopin etude. Work in all these motions which at speed are going to be minimized, but they're in there and they're supporting the fingers so that the fingers don't have to do as much work. And playing in these rhythms really allows the hand to feel the most comfortable shift behind the weight of the fingers, and so that as much of the entire hand can play the piece instead of using just the fingers. We really only want to use the fingers when we absolutely have to, and a lot of fast passage work can be done or at least supported and helped by the entire hand getting behind it. So the next piece that we could look at is On the Water I Sing, other Schubert song, also in groups of 6, but musically I love this because you can on the pause you can really listen to the character of what you're trying to create with sound, and instead of being just anti-musical, let me play 2 seconds of that. Now, if I stop on the 1s and 6s in this, I really try to listen as I stop on 1. What sound have I made with the last 6 notes? So. Listen. I feel like musically I can be completely in the character, and I can stop as long or as short as I need to. And a good exercise is to actually start and stop with longer distances. So for instance, let's say. help the sense of improvisatory quality if you yourself don't know exactly how long you're going to stop. But in that pause, the music doesn't stop, it doesn't drop. Which is what many students are going to end up doing. But if they can sing through that pause, it can really help actually guide this internal voice or internal direction. If they can keep the line moving through that pause, be it short, be it long, it can be a great exercise for them to not lose the line when they're playing, whatever various pieces. So both of those pieces are in groups of 6. They play all the way to the end. Going back to Gretchen, why I like stopping on 6. When this gets into the bigger area, when we have sort of like enough time, this is stopping on 1, but enough time to really get our weight behind these notes. Really have time to get full weight in those, because these jumps end up being very quick and then we don't get enough weight over it, we miss the notes, so that helps you build that in. The other cheat that we start to develop as this piece gets sort of faster and faster is that 6 starts to fall out. So again, stopping on the 6 is going to help us from cheating and from rushing, so we get to that. Last notes are so easy to just be swept under the rug and we don't even play them. So just stopping on 6 once a week, maybe twice a week, just keeps it solidly in there, and it allows us to keep full control over all of those notes. One last piece I want to just demonstrate. It's very easy to chop up groups of 4 or triplets, or even 6s are not too bad. But what happens when passages get so long or so cumbersome that it's hard to chop them up? You can, I'm going to use Liszt's Concert Etude Un Sospiro just for a second. You can always just stop on the downbeats, and you can stop on the note just previous. So whatever the first note is, and then the last note in the group. So this, Un Sospiro goes from like 7 or 8 notes, sometimes it's 10 notes, sometimes it's only 6 notes. But I'm just going to show a way that you can practice this. It doesn't matter how many notes are going in between, but you're just going to stop on 1, and you're going to stop on the previous note before getting to 1. Stop on 1. Then stopping on the last note in the group. So, you know, that's not broken up in anything specifically 3, 4, or 6. I'm just playing the arpeggio up, arpeggio down. And this allows you to really listen to listen to the By stopping on one, you're able to really listen and match the textures of the two different hands playing those melodic notes, and it doesn't run away from you too quickly if you build in these stops, and you just have a better level of control. I think those are the main ideas that I would like to discuss on rhythms. And we're going to move on next to different ways that we could use the metronome.